This season of Rocket League has taught us a few important things. For one, it's reiterated that the French are ridiculously good at this game. But most importantly, it's taught us that the best teams tend to find the most success. While Gen G had quality players, it was their teamwork that got them the Fall Major championship. In the winter, both FaZe and Carmine Corps leveled up by emulating Gen G's playstyle, and it led them both to the Winter Major Finals. The rise of what I like to call the teamwork meta has led to a bunch of players getting a shot that otherwise would have been counted out. Nolly was one of the first examples of this, dating back to his time in Carmine Corps. Another good example of this is Dignitas' new roster, of Andy, Drees, and Evo. While big mechanical stars tried to carry the teams that they were on, this team took advantage of that and managed to scrape into the Winter Major in the most stacked North American season to date. However, the most notable example of this phenomenon can be found in Spacestation Gaming's Hockser. When Daniel left Spacestation at the end of the winter split, many people thought that the roster would be doomed. After all, it was unlikely that another Daniel would pop out of thin air to be able to carry Spacestation to their next LAN. However, despite the odds, Spacestation are headed to the Spring Major as the #1 seed from North America. So how did they get here? And how did Hockser manage to fill the biggest shoes of Daniel and bring Spacestation to the next level? For that, we're going to need to answer a question that a good many people were asking just only 2 months ago. Who is Hockser? Where did he come from? And how has he brought so much success to Spacestation Gaming? Hockser started out his RLCS career on a team called the Birds. Well, technically they were called something else, but we'll leave it at the Birds. This was a team of Hockser, Roldiz, and Mist. Despite this being the first time they all set foot in the RLRS, this team managed to go undefeated and get themselves into the promotion relegation tournament. They ended up losing their first series in the upper bracket final of the promotion playoffs to the other team out of the RLRS, a team that might be familiar to some people, but they managed to bounce back in the lower bracket and get themselves into the RLCS for Season 8. Despite their good run of form, Mist would end up leaving the team during the off-season, and he would later join the Peeps. In his place, the team picked up a longtime RLRS player in Ajax. The team was not predicted to do very well heading into Season 8, and many people thought they would be facing the relegation tournament yet again. However, Season 8 was upside down for North America, as both G2 and Cloud9 ended up in the promotion relegation tournament, and the Birds ended up placing 5th in the regular season. Heading into the North American playoffs, the team was signed by eUnited, a new org to the RLCS scene. And despite many expectations of eUnited falling in the first round of the playoffs, they managed to take down Rogue in Game 6 and Ghost in a Game 7 overtime in order to qualify for the Season 8 World Championship in Madrid. Throughout the season, Hockser had been particularly impressive, and despite eUnited going out in 9th through 12th at the World Championship, there was a lot of interest for Hockser during the offseason. Most notably, Cloud9's duo of Squishy and Gimmick were looking to pick up Hockser heading into Season 9. However, this move didn't end up going through, and the prevailing theory is that eUnited blocked the trade. The team ended up sticking together heading into Season 9, but didn't have the same magic as the previous season, as they finished in 9th place and headed to the promotion relegation tournament. The team would end up keeping their spot in the RLCS, but that hardly mattered as we headed to the open circuit with the start of RLCS X. During the offseason after Season 9, however, the team decided to try out new players in place of Roldiz, who ended up pseudo-retiring. Throughout most of the offseason, the team played with memory, and they ended up getting some decent results, including placing 3rd in Dazarin's codename Covert. However, right before the RLCS Season X started, the team decided to switch gears and pick up Wonder Mike. Wonder Mike was a young kid with a lot of talent, so many people were excited about his move to eUnited. However, things did not go right at the start, as in the first event of the RLCS X season, they ended up going out 17th through 22nd. To put that placement into perspective, it's essentially the same thing as going 2 and 3 in closed qualifiers of today's RLCS season. For a team that looked like they were leveling up during the offseason and got another player to make them even better, this was a shocking result. What was even more shocking is that when eUnited went into the second event of the season, they placed in the exact same spot. After those two results, eUnited decided that enough was enough, and they ended up benching Hockser for Tristan for the remainder of the split.
What's your reaction to everything that is happening here with Hockser and eUnited?
I am curious about the decision from purely a performance-based stand. Hockser wasn't the guy to bench. You don't bench who is arguably the best player on your team if you're trying to get better and you're trying to improve.
Many people were confused by this move, as Hockser still looked like he was the star player for eUnited. Along with that, much of the community wasn't happy with these roster moves, as it appeared they were happening from the organization's side more than the players. Between kicking Hockser in the middle of the split, signing Memory for the offseason, then kicking him right before the start of the season, and going back to when they theoretically blocked Hockser's move to Cloud9, the org was not sitting favorably in many people's eyes. That being said, the immediate payoff seemed to work, as E-United managed to place in the top 8 in the last event of the fall split. To no one's surprise, Hockser and E-United parted ways after the end of the fall split. Despite E-United's results immediately improving, many people knew that Hockser was still an amazing talent, and he ended up getting picked up by XSET heading into the winter split. At the time, the XSET roster was J-Pow and Alpha Kep, two players with potential but not quite at the top of the league. The trio stuck together for the rest of RLCS X, mostly finishing in the top 16 and occasionally breaking into the top 12. After the season was over, the team decided to replace Alpha Kep with Percy. Percy was another player who had a lot of potential but couldn't quite make it to the top level just yet. In their first event together, the team managed to go 3-1 through the Swiss stage, including beating FaZe Clan, to finish in the top 8. For the organization, this was their first time placing the top 8 since Fall Regional 2 of RLCS X, and for Hockser, it was his first time back in the top 8 of an RLCS event since North America's Season 8. Unfortunately, XSET lost in a Game 7 overtime to Version 1 to knock them out of their first event, but in their second event, they were right back on the top 8 again. Heading into the third regional, the team still had an outside shot of making the first international major in 2.5 years. Unfortunately, the pressure got to them, and they ended up going 1-3 in the Swiss stage, knocking them out of major contention. Despite missing out on Sweden, this was still Hockser's most successful split in the RLCS Open era, and the team stuck together heading into the winter split. This time, however, things took a turn for the worse, as they went out last in their group in the first event. The second winter event went a little better as they ended up getting top 8, but after a last place finish in the final event as well, the team said that it was time for a change. While XSET picked up Rapid, Hockser went over to Ghost Gaming to team up with Lion Blaze and Shock. Ironically enough, Hockser was replacing Roldiz on Ghost, who had unretired previously but was now retiring for good this time as he moved to coach FaZe Clan. Ghost was in an interesting spot heading into the spring split of this year. They'd had a relatively successful fall split, finishing 7th in North America in terms of points, but their winter split was abysmal, going 0-6 in groups overall and not even making one of the events. So when they pulled NRG as their first round in the double elimination bracket, many people thought it was doomed.
Only 2 lives in the entire thing. You lose once to NRG achieves, and you're basically already on tournament point.
Yeah, definitely not one you'd like to be in, but currently I actually really like what Ghost is doing. Lion Blaze really good at pushing in the blender. NRG definitely delaying some of those pushes just a little bit. It's making it real tough for them to score. Hockser with a chance to catch Garrett G out.
They're looking a little bit boost-starved now, Ghost Gaming. Maybe you're trying to be too quick. No, not at all. There was a miss from NRG, and it's 2-all. I don't think
they might score.
That one was going in, but Lion Blaze is going to make it 3. 2-0 up against NRG and maybe equalizing in Game 3. Hockser, can he get to this one in time? Yes, he can. Now beating another NRG player, and Lion Blaze has a chance to go solo. He loves to do this. He gets it past one and past another. You can see how far NRG are rotating now, though. They're waiting for this ball to come all the way back before going forward. And Hockser's just playing with them.
And if sweeping the NRG wasn't enough to make you believe in this team, they ended up sweeping Version 1 in the next round to get themselves their first top 6 finish. They ended up losing in the upper bracket to defending major champions G2, but in the lowers, they managed to take down Team Envy in a 4-1 defeat to get themselves into the top 4. Again, this was Hockser's first top 4 finish since 2019. Unfortunately, their regional would end there, as they ran into Spacestation Gaming, who ended up making the finals of that event. The team looked to continue their run of form heading into the second event, but after losing to Envy in the first round, they had to face Space Station in the lower bracket, and they unfortunately could not get the job done in Game 5. And despite there still being a chance for the team to make the major, they unfortunately fell 0-2 again in the double elimination bracket and ended their season. During the offseason, the team ended up kicking Lion Blaze and picking up T. Corell in his place. Unfortunately, this move did not work out as well as planned, as Ghost ended up missing the first event of the season and going out 0-3 in the second event. Due to the change in qualification for the third regional of every split, Ghost ended up missing out on the Fall Invitational. After a catastrophic split, Ghost Gaming decided to rebuild around Hockser, picking up Expert and money from 26 Rising. Heading into the winter split, the team again failed to qualify for the first regional of the split, but they ended up qualifying for the Winter Cup. Due to Expert and money having points from the fall split carry over due to the 2/3 rule, Ghost was able to qualify for the Winter Invitational, and it was here that Hockser would finally get his first win of the season. In a win or go home matchup against Furia, Hockser pulled off a shot that made everyone remember the talent that he still had and pushed Ghost through into the bracket stage.
Playing hard right now. As Hockser, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. He just, I mean, who just goes to the ceiling and goes, what? Just what? What?
While Ghost would end up going out 9th through 12th in this event, it was a good reminder that Hockser still had talent despite being on the bubble of RLCS regionals the entire season. It was then that during the offseason between winter and spring split, Hockser got a call. It's on the other side of the story that we find Spacestation Gaming. Since Spacestation's acquisition of Daniel at the start of the winter split of 2022, the team was pushing for LAN victories. A surprise finish of 3rd at the winter major had the team dreaming big. Heading into the spring major, the team was still pushing for a trophy despite not winning a single regional. However, after an infamous kickoff goal, the team would go out in the top 6 of the spring major, then get top 12 at the World Championship. Between internal conflict and the diminishing results, Daniel and Arsenal controversially kicked Reddles right after the World Championship. In his place, the team picked up LJ. LJ was an up-and-coming talent who had his first real moment of the spotlight when he played for Oxygen back in the winter split of 2022. The team knew he had the potential to be a superstar, and this move was an attempt to push them to the next level. The team had a semi-successful fall split, getting top 4 in every single regional, but went 2-3 in the Swiss stage of the fall major, going out 9th through 11th. The winter split was not as fortunate, as the team got 2 top 8 finishes and then went out 9th through 12th, which eliminated them for major contention. It was at this point that Daniel left to go to version 1 to form his long-awaited super team. Not many people thought that Spacestation could bounce back from Daniel leaving. Given the individual talents that were on the market during this transfer window, it would be impossible to find someone with the skill level of Daniel to replace him on Spacestation. Along with that, there were many times where if you would watch the Spacestation games, it looked like Daniel was 1v3ing and Arsenal and LJ had no impact on the ball. However, for Spacestation, it was never an individual talent problem. It was a team cohesion problem. In many instances, it appeared that the team was not playing in each other's best interests. While much of this was perceived to be Daniel's fault, it was very clear that this roster of 3 players never quite got on the same page. Despite team cohesion being the issue, it seemed impossible, from the fan perspective, for anyone to replace a star caliber player as Daniel. However, Arsenal and LJ knew how to fix the problem. Even before the winter major happened, Arsenal and LJ decided to pick up Hockser in Daniel's place. The difference between the individual players' results could not have been overstated. Daniel was the prodigy, the kid who was constantly talked about joining the North American super team. Hockser had only made 3 of the last 6 events. Yet despite the odds being stacked against them, Spacestation showed us yet again the most important lesson of this season. Team cohesion always outdoes star performances.
Read the play and go for the next touch. Bump off the backboard, and that's a shot. There it is, Hockser. The roof of your car is just rolling up the ramp. Bump off the one player. Should be a chance for LJ. Well played. Not the greatest touch from first killer. A chance for Arsenal. What a play. First killer in the corner. Going to pop it up midfield. 2 players commit. No shot. No shot! Oh my god!
After upsetting major finalists FaZe Clan in a reverse sweep, Spacestation would go on to make top 4 of their first event together. For Arsenal and LJ, this was proof that they still had what it takes to be top 4 in North America, and for Hockser, this was a regain of form as it was his first top 4 since the Spring Regional 1 of last season. Despite the amazing first result, last year's Ghost performances still rang in many people's heads, as Hockser had gotten top 4 before and then finished last place twice to end the split. However, that would not be the case this time.
Go for the demo. I love that. I love that. Double commit from Gen D. The pass middle. Early chip and a double for LJ. That's beautifully done. Pass on the start of this kickoff. Shot. Shot again. And it's in. 50 though. Pop down to Hockser. A bit awkward in the corner here. Should be okay. That's not good though. A good chance here. The follow up. It's just open. Ends up faking it. Arsenal has some space. Flip reset. Underneath both players and beautifully done. That dunk from Hockser. That's going to be it. Wow.
In another shocking round 2 upset, Space Station took down Gen G as a revenge for the previous regional and ended up going into the top 3 this time. Now, in a normal split, getting top 4 and top 3 would normally have you set for a major spot, as you'd normally only need a 9th through 12th finish. However, because North America decided to be absolutely ridiculous this split, the top 6 teams were all 4 points within each other heading into the final regional of the season. Despite 2 phenomenal results to start, this was no time to take your foot off the gas if you were Space Station Gaming. And that they didn't.
It did regain possession for a moment. Unfortunately, they can't make the touchback the other way.
This goes all the way to LJ, taking a shot. The net saves it. Gen G's defense has been really good so far as Arsenal go for, but now it's LJ forced to make a save. Hockser with the clear that goes to Arsenal. Chronic tries to leave it, and it's a fake. He doesn't even connect with it. So this is tough. And now they're maybe even going for a 4th goal. Nully could stop that.
This is a dangerous approach. Gen G, all the space in the world. You can't miss that. You got Gen G to give him the space. Little stutter step, tries to go behind Chronic. Right on it, but he's got Hockser with him. Well, Lemon, I will say, you picked correctly here. Oh, and Arsenal. Oh, you love that. You love that.
After upsetting Gen G one more time, the team secured themselves at least a top 6 finish, which in this case was enough to lock them for the Boston Major. The team would finish out the Spring Invitational in 2nd place, losing to Furia in the Grand Finals. For the players on Space Station Gaming, this was Arsenal's first final since Spring Regional 1 of the previous season, and for LJ and Hockser, this was their first RLCS final ever. The team who lost the Prodigy picked up a player who had only made half the regionals heading into the Spring Split, and managed to finish at the top of North America heading into the Spring Major. Now, I know how this video is probably going to get perceived by some, so I'm just going to come out and say it. No, I don't think Daniel is a terrible player. Daniel still has an incredible amount of talent, and if you get the right team around him and they start playing like a team, he can absolutely win a world championship one day, and I absolutely expect him to. Despite missing the Spring Major, Daniel has finally gotten that elusive regional win. And while it's clear the team needs to improve as a whole, that doesn't mean the writing is on the wall for Daniel. But most importantly, Space Station has shown us yet again that it's not always about the star players. It's about how the team works as a whole. The fact that Hockser, a player with 1 series win in RLCS this season, could come in and secure the North American 1 seed says a lot. Interestingly enough, it's kind of similar to Chronic, who had 1 top 8 heading into this season when he managed to secure the North American 1 seed in the fall split. It makes you wonder who else is out there that has the potential that hasn't quite been reached yet. There's a theme going around in North American Rocket League that players with a lot of potential aren't being given a shot to perform at the highest level. That being said, Chronic is proof that it works. Hockser is proof that it works. Magic Bear is proof that it works. I mean, people were even writing off LJ after his first 2 splits on Space Station, and look where he is now. It makes you wonder how many of those talents are out there. To be honest, I feel like I've listed a couple of them in this video. Percy is a player with a lot of potential, and he's even gotten tryouts with G2 before. J-Pow and Lionblaze are absolutely 2 other players with a ton of potential that haven't gotten shots on top teams. I know I haven't mentioned them this video yet, but there's a reason that the spot on Shopify Rebellion with 2Piece and Parth is going to be one of the most sought after roster spots in this offseason. There's plenty of talent in North America. Maybe it's not always where you think it is, but given the right opportunity, there's many players that can flourish. Hockser and Space Station's story isn't finished yet. The team will be playing as the North American 1 seed in the Spring Major with a great chance of qualifying for the World Championship. Despite their consistent top placements, there's still many people in the community doubting what Space Station can do at this major. That being said, Space Station's been doubted all split. So even if they don't have the top players in North America, you should look out, because right now, they are the top team in North America.